Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Disaster Recovery for Healthcare Organizations. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. You should see a box in the upper right corner of your desktop. This is your control panel. You're listening and using your computer speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join over the phone, just select telephone in the audio tab and the dial-in information will be displayed. You will have the opportunity to submit questions today to today's presenter by typing your questions into the question pane of your control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A session. So with that, I would now like to introduce you to Hannah Coney with Comport.
Great, thank you, Katie, and thank you, Aero team, for helping to organize today's webinar. Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the webinar. My name is Hannah Coney, and I am the Business Development Manager at ComportSecure. We're looking forward to talking about disaster recovery as a service and data protection with you today, specifically in healthcare, and we're lucky enough that we also have Veeam software with us today as well. Before we jump into the discussion, I want to run through the agenda and introduce you to our speakers. Our agenda today is going to involve your priorities as a customer and what you see as your goals going into 2020 in healthcare, and then how Veeam is operating within the healthcare market to better protect data, solve challenges, share how we've done that already to date with multiple customers, and then discuss our EMR capabilities and how we support those, as well as the data center availability that you have with Veeam software and ComportSecure. We also want to talk through the success that we've seen with Veeam software in healthcare, and the growth that ComportSecure has been able to have within the healthcare market, and how we're positively impacting our customers today and how we expect to be able to throughout the new year. We will do a hybrid cloud and healthcare discussion. I promote open discussion throughout today's webinar. So if you are unmuted, please feel free to join in the session. And if you would like to submit comments at any point in time, please do so through the GoToWebinar options. We'll finish out today's webinar with a Q&A. And again, if there's any questions that come up afterwards, you'll have our contact information to reach out to us as well. So Eric Krucker from Comport is going to be joining us today. He's our Chief Technology Officer. Eric, why don't you let everybody know your experience and your role at Comport?
Hi, Hannah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. My name is Eric Krucker. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Comport, and I've had a long storied history in healthcare. Worked at Weill Cornell Medical College and ran the Epic implementation for nearly a decade. And now what I do is I go around, talk to our customers and try to help them figure out how they can best utilize technology to improve patient care and patient outcomes. So I'm happy to be here today and happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Eric. And next we have Jonathan. Jonathan is from Veeam Healthcare. He is the director at Veeam. He has a very pivotal role with Veeam, and we're very happy to be able to work with him. Jonathan, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Hannah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for your time. I am Jonathan Butz, the Healthcare Director for Veeam Software. About 18 months into my time at Veeam. Before joining Veeam, I was a CTO for several hospitals, both in the Philadelphia area and on the West Coast with a boutique IT firm called Vertitech IT out of Massachusetts. Before that, I was a healthcare strategist and product manager with VMware in their healthcare group. And I've been in the data center, had my hands in absolutely every aspect of data center technology over my 20-year career. And I've devoted quite a bit of the last 10 years to healthcare. And I believe I'm going to devote the entire second half of my career to healthcare because it is unlike any other industry I've ever served in that it truly affects all of us. And it's allowing me to bring my passion for driving data center efficiency to something that ultimately affects the health and well-being of all of our communities at large.
Awesome, thanks, Jonathan. And thank you both for speaking today to everybody in attendance. Real quickly, I just want to go through Comport and Veeam, two great partners here today to help discuss healthcare data protection in 2020, what's coming down the road, ways in which our customers can help protect their data and prepare for the future as well. So everybody on the call probably knows who Veeam software is. Some people might be a little less familiar with Comport and ComportSecure, but Comport and Veeam are really the perfect match made when it comes to partners. Due in fact to that we've grown very similarly, we've been able to start and serve traditional IT markets and data centers, and then be able to grow with our customers and expand to not only help them with what they need now, but also to help them with what they need in the future. Businesses are changing. It's very rare now that you see the same priorities as a year ago when it comes to road mapping. And if you're in that position yourself, then you understand that it's very rare that what your priority was last year is going to carry through into the new year as these items change and as the threats also increase or change as well. So our company, Comport and ComportSecure, have grown with Veeam to continue to provide protection to our customers. Veeam software started out as a backup as a service company, and Comport originated in the data centers, helping with on-premise hardware and solutions, storage solutions. Since then, we've been able to grow to integrate technology to make it more efficient for our customers to grow, lifting that load from our customers within the hospitals and the healthcare markets. We've also been able to work cloud solutions into the mix to be able to give our customers the ability to not just worry about data on site, but be able to take it off site, protect it outside of the network, and give them options to both save on purchasing of hardware, save on the complexity of managing data centers, and also be able to grow without having to worry about the day-to-day management of the IT hardware on-premise. And then we're also looking to innovate, and we're striving together to simplify IT, to simplify the implementation, and to be able to give that to our customers with an ROI that makes the most sense.
All right, thanks, Hannah. So this is Jonathan Butts from Veeam. So to start off, just wanted to give you a little background on Veeam. You know, Veeam has made substantial progress in recent years, becoming the #1 cloud data management solution provider in the marketplace. And as you can see here, there have been some changes in the Gartner Magic Quadrant over the last 2 years. You see Veeam moving up, and some of the other incumbent vendors moving down and to the left. And I think that paints a very interesting picture of our place in the market and our potential for the future. Thank you. In terms of the value we bring to the healthcare data center, our mantra is quite straightforward: simple, reliable, flexible data protection, backup, and recovery. And we do that, frankly, by offering a solution that's extraordinarily high quality. It's extraordinarily easy to use and manage, and that's a primary vector for delivering the lowest TCO in the marketplace. In terms of our customers continually report to us that it's extraordinarily reliable. They use the phrase "it just works" repeatedly when discussing our solution. And we're focused on not only the nature of the data center today, which is still largely on-prem, but also as customers entertain and embark on this cloud migration journey, leveraging more and more services, both SaaS and infrastructure as a service consumption, and exploring services like data protection as a service, which of course ComportSecure will talk some more about a little later on. And as a result, we really have a solution platform that's designed to meet the needs of the on-premises healthcare data center today and is geared towards whatever cloud choices you make in the future. Could you go next slide, please, Hannah? Thank you. And in terms of scope and scale, Veeam is a $1 billion annual revenue company serving customers worldwide, more than 350,000 customers worldwide. And within healthcare, I think this is a very interesting metric in healthcare, that we have an extraordinarily high net promoter score, which is a result of the high quality of our solution and the reputation that we've built over the last 10 years. But I found it very interesting that within the healthcare customers that were surveyed, our Net Promoter Score is even higher. And I think that speaks volumes to the value that we're bringing to the healthcare data center. We have more than 20,000 healthcare customers worldwide. That's healthcare provider customers, more than 7,000 in North America, reporting significant TCO gains. And I estimate that we're protecting more than 250,000 clinical applications worldwide. And in terms of scale of deployments and distribution, we have more than 56,000 sockets. That's the virtual infrastructure sockets of our primary data protection solution already deployed in the healthcare provider space. So just a real quick snapshot of the solutions that we're bringing to market. Our flagship product is our Veeam Availability Suite. That's the heart and soul of our data protection solution. Of growing importance, particularly to healthcare customers, is the ability to back up Office 365. We're seeing dramatic and rapid adoption of Office 365, especially Exchange Online in the provider space. And we'll talk a little bit more detail about that in just a second. But that presents a new risk for hospitals and a new area of concern that we believe strongly requires mitigation. We also have a management pack solution that meets a lot of customers' needs. SCOM is very popular in healthcare, and customers have found that our management pack is a very easy and efficient way to extend the data seen by SCOM down to the virtual infrastructure. So we take the virtual infrastructure performance data and add it to SCOM to give that end-to-end picture all in one place. And in terms of just a quick snapshot, some of our largest deployments by size, our Veeam Availability Suite, our largest deployments are Tenet and WellSpan, of course, is here in the Northeast. I was actually on site with them on Tuesday. And these are and Tenet has recently become our largest, expanding their deployment to 600 sockets. And then Office 365, our largest deployment is Bay State Health with 14,000 mailboxes. They did that last year. Children's Mercy did it earlier the year before with 10,000 mailboxes. And our management pack is deployed at scale at both Geisinger and Mayo. I do want to talk just for a moment about Office 365, because this is an important area of consideration. And I'm still working on the best way to display this, but succinctly said, healthcare has long built resilient platforms for email and the other Microsoft back office solutions. And we've deployed that in a resilient fashion using the distributed availability group, which creates a cluster spanning 2 data centers and replicates all the data. But we also, when we ran it that way on premises, we also backed it up every day. And now with Exchange Online and the other Office 365 services, Microsoft is running that same clustered service. They're using the same technology on the back end, but they are not backing it up every day. And Microsoft states in policy and in their contracts that the customer is ultimately responsible for the data that resides on that platform they are operating. So we believe quite strongly that imposes upon customers the need to protect that information. And that is an interesting area of concern and confluence for Veeam and ComportSecure, because a lot of customers who are going Office 365, getting that data off premises and eliminating the management overhead, also would prefer to shed the data management requirements. And as such, a great option for protecting that data is to back it up either to an Azure repository or to a ComportSecure repository, all of which ComportSecure can help with.
Yeah, and Jonathan, a lot of times customers aren't even aware of these requirements from Office 365 from an email perspective, or even from a SharePoint perspective or a OneDrive perspective, that they're responsible for backing these things up, and they don't realize it until there's a failure and they go and look at it, and then it becomes a bigger issue. So we're trying to prevent our customers from running into the same situation where it's too late to recover an item, and there's absolutely no way for Microsoft to recover an item once it's gone from their system. So you can bang your fists and hem and haw as much as you want at them. It doesn't matter if you're a large customer or a small customer. There is no capability for them to get those items back.
That's a really good point. it's a really good point, Eric. The way I've been summarizing it is, Microsoft does not have a way to take you back to yesterday should something disastrous happen to your data within Office 365. And we actually, Veeam, we have had customers come to us after they've suffered data loss and said, now we understand the need to protect this platform.
Yep, absolutely.
In terms of data center coverage, one of my primary focus since coming to Veeam has been to complete our solution portfolio, and we've made great strides in the last 18 months. We have all of Epic covered except for AIX, and I'm working to address that in 2020. We have excellent support for Allscripts and McKesson because they have no unusual requirements, almost always virtual infrastructure with no unique requirements. Cerner is almost always hosted, so that's generally not an issue, but we're working with a customer in Texas on protecting on-premises Cerner, and we don't believe there will be any problems there. Meditech still poses some interesting challenges. That's a topic for a separate discussion. In terms of infrastructure support, obviously with vSphere, Hyper-V, physical Windows and Linux, and next month with the launch of our V10 solution, which is set to launch February 18th, we will also have NAS support, so unstructured file data on Isilon, on NetApp Filer, etc., will also be something that we can handle. And that matters a lot to me because now we're talking about PACS image repositories, we're talking about document management repositories, talking about Epic Web Blob. So very excited to have that enhancement next month. Our Microsoft integration is very deep, AD, SQL, SharePoint, and then of course we talked about Office 365 already. We have native support for Oracle RAC, Microsoft SQL Server, and we have support for cache on Linux. And as I mentioned, we will address AIX hopefully in the near term. So in terms of the data center coverage, we are 90 to 95% plus of the workloads and the critical data in the healthcare data center today. And in terms of customer impact, Greenville Health is one of our now they've recently merged and become Prisma Health. They are one of our earliest and longest healthcare customers, and they did their analysis initially and concluded that they would realize more than $300,000 annual savings by moving to Veeam, and I think that speaks volumes to the value that we're bringing to the healthcare data center. And Eric, you want to talk about New Rochelle?
Yeah, absolutely. So Rochelle came to us and had a typical type of problem, right? So they knew that they needed a way to keep an offsite copy of their data that was air gapped in case that they ran into ransomware or something along those lines. They just didn't know how they were going to get there. So we worked very closely with them. We came up with a solution based on Veeam backup and replication to take their data and copy it from their on-premise data center out to the ComportSecure cloud. And we could do it at a much cheaper rate than they could do it on site. They don't have to worry about all the facilities, items that need to be taken care of as far as space and power and cooling. And we gave them really a next generation solution at a very reasonable cost that they don't have to then manage themselves. So we can take care of all the management. We can take care of the backup and disaster recovery for them, and make it very cost effective. Next slide, please.
A quick snapshot. Sorry about that. Just a quick snapshot of by region, wherever you are located, there are peer hospitals using Veeam already, and we wanted to show you, of course, where the ComportSecure data centers are located. It's a pretty good national coverage. So however you envision data protection in your hybrid cloud strategy, there's a wonderful opportunity to engage Veeam and ComportSecure to realize whatever you have in mind.
Yeah, so I want to talk about disaster recovery as a service in healthcare. Why should you look at it, and sort of what the world looks like today and everything. All this, there's a lot of talk about cloud and why hybrid IT really matters in the next generation data centers and in healthcare in the next several years. So legacy DR sites are just as problematic as are the production sites for customers, right? So they have to pretty much treat them just like they're their primary data center, and customers tend to burn through a lot of money and resources trying to keep them up. So they cost a lot of money. They tend to be sort of left off to its side. They're not really secured a lot of times very well. It causes a lot of redundancies in what they're providing for in their production data center. They have to have the same type of equipment, the same networking, everything. The costs are almost identical as to what they're running in their production data center. And all those maintenance contracts too, keeping track of all that stuff, it's extremely costly to an organization to maintain a DR data center, which is a mirror of production. It costs a lot of manpower, and most of the failures that we see at our customers are based upon hardware. And a lot of the failures are around simple things of power supplies and fans and cooling and all those sort of things. So we can offload all of that from you and take that off your hands. Next slide, please. So a lot of customers will come to us and say, well, we can't really use the cloud. It's not really built for us. And there really needs to be a shift in the way that everyone in healthcare is thinking about cloud. It's not just the big hyperscalers like AWS and Azure and GCP that are out there. ComportSecure can help provide you what you need from a disaster recovery perspective. It eliminates a lot of the things that are wasted in a disaster recovery site, all of the management that's required, all of the capital intensive resources to buy all of the gear that's required for a DR data site. So we can take that on and run all of that for you. We can also help prioritize applications and automated failover and help you determine which applications need to be brought up first, second, third, so on. One of the really big important ones is that we can help test. And through testing, we can ensure that you actually have a rock solid disaster recovery plan, and it doesn't impact anything that is going on in production. And we have tier 5 data centers with the highest levels of security that nobody can get into from a physical standpoint, and we lock the data centers down from a virtual perspective as well, all the way from the physical gear itself through the networking. And as Jonathan said, we have data centers that are spread out across the U.S. We have one on the East Coast, one out in Las Vegas, so that we can satisfy any sort of geo requirements that people have. If you're here on the East Coast and you want to have a DR copy that's sitting out on the West Coast or outside of the power grid here on the East, we can provide that for you as well. And one of the big things I stress to everyone when I speak to them about disaster recovery and having an effective model is the cost of being down. And that cost can go anywhere from about $1,000 up to almost $20,000 per minute for being down. And there's a lot of also compliance requirements that if you're down for certain systems that have to be reported out as well. And nobody wants to be caught in a situation where it's costing them a lot of money, especially if they already have a DR site. And when they go to actually go into DR, it doesn't work for them because it hasn't been tested or there's a failure or something along those lines. So we can help offload all of those things for you and just provide it back to you as a service. So why ComportSecure and why Veeam? Right, so Comport, we have a 30-plus year track record of providing data center capabilities and expertise to our customers. We can help customers transition from what they're doing on-premise in their own private data centers to a hybrid model where they're either using hyperscalers, if that's what they wish to use, or they're using ComportSecure. And we have trusted partnerships, and the partnership with Veeam is one of our strongest partnerships that we have. And we continue to invest into our customers, not only from a technology perspective, but from a business perspective. We're trying to help our customers be more effective, in healthcare and outcomes to patients, and offload some of those things that they don't get a lot of value out of, and they don't see a lot of value out of, and help provide better outcomes for their patients.
Thanks, Eric. Jonathan, anything to add before we wrap up?
I think Eric said it very nicely. We have a very strong partnership between Veeam and ComportSecure. We providing the engine and ComportSecure providing the expertise and the flexibility that our customers are looking for.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Eric, and thank you, Jonathan. I know that was a lot of topics probably came to mind while everybody was listening to Jonathan and Eric discuss the importance of protecting data in healthcare. So if anything popped up and you'd like to ask us, feel free to put it below. We will also respond back with your specific answers to your questions afterwards of the contact information provided to us. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, whether it be to discuss a specific problem you're having in person, or if there's something that you would like to see with Veeam, a demo or a proof of concept for the technology and how that works, sending data to the data center and recovering, happy to talk through those options with you as well. I'm going to leave this slide up for a little while. Thank you all for joining us today. Our contact information is here, and you'll also receive a recording of the webinar as well following the end of that. So if you don't see that, just keep an eye out for it in your email and feel free to forward that to anybody within your organization as well to refer back to at a later date. Thank you everybody for coming today. Thank you, Jonathan, for speaking. Thank you for the support, Veeam and Arrow, and thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Hannah.